Lisa, it's so great to meet you. Thanks so much for sitting down with me today. I really wanted to take the opportunity to dig in a little bit deeper because I think you've got an incredible story to tell. And one of the things that I think is really important for us to do is to learn from this incredible community of people who are leading the way in commercial cleaning. And I think you're a big part of that.
Oh my goodness, what a beautiful introduction. Thank you so much.
Well,
Thank you.
it's a pleasure.
It's really nice to meet people in real life, in person, who are also in the industry. Building the community and being a part of the community is really important to me. And I think that our story, because it started so long ago. I mean, we're nearly 30 years old. There's a lot of different areas of that 30-year journey that have meant we haven't had a community to work with, or to have support, or even peer support. And now our industry is much more focused on that, which is it's just so great. So yeah, great to be here with you.
Yeah, that's great. It is an exciting time in this industry. I think, it's wonderful to have these virtual communities, and I think so many of us have been able to connect that way, but nothing beats the face-to-face. Nothing beats it. One of the things I wanted to touch on was about a 30-year journey. That's incredible. I'd love to hear a little bit more about when you started out and where are you today?
When we started CleanCorp, that was Hamish doing everything. I was in sales and marketing for a large hotel chain and doing very well and loving that job. Hamish was working as a carpenter and he had his own business, but we didn't have any financial freedom. And that was a really big deal for us. Hamish is a very, very hard worker. He was so dedicated to building this business, and he did very well. First 13 years, there was growth upon growth upon growth. But then when he hit that 13th year, I think the two previous years, the growth had not been as great as in the past. And he said to me, I feel like we've plateaued and I don't know how to move us forward. Why don't you come into the business, and with your sales and marketing skills, let's see what we can do with the business. So that was a very tough decision to move into that.
That it was.
Because now all of a sudden, our entire family's financial future was in one spot rather than being spread in two. As soon as I came in, it freed Hamish up to do more operationally, and I was able to go all in on the sales and marketing. It meant that we could both leverage our skill sets in a way that made sense for the business. So year 13, huge growth. Year 14, huge growth. We come to the US, we win a huge award, and then it just took off. The business just kept going from strength to strength.
What are some of the hard things that you went through that you think are key to you unlocking the kind of growth that you found?
There are so many, but I'll just give you a couple of examples. One of the first ones was not having the right advice coming through to me. Hamish came from building and construction.
Yeah.
I came from hotel sales and marketing. Now we're running a cleaning business. By not having the right instruction early on, that hurt us in some ways. Learning that lesson the hard way. Then, not trusting my gut enough. I think that was a big one as well. There's also been, not being prepared enough in certain situations. As the business grew, we needed to have a little bit more foresight of what it was that those larger clients would want from us, and how we would make that happen. And now, I mean, obviously we're 8-figure business. We're on our way to 9 figures. So my job as the CEO is to have my eyes on the future, on the vision of getting us there and making sure that all of that is in place. So I think those things really for us, having the right advice, getting the best advice you can afford to pay for.
Yeah.
Listening to it.
Was there critical hires along the way that you had to make as you were starting to grow?
Definitely. Um, some not as good as others, and I think that would be the same for any business. That especially when you're new to running, like I was new to running and owning my own business, and thinking that you need something or someone, when in fact, if you just maybe listen to yourself a little bit more, you probably didn't need that person. So now, with our hires, we're cautious and slow. We are very careful who we bring on. You really had to look at it as, is this position, not person, in this position going to move the business forward? Is this position going to generate revenue? Is this position going to pay for itself? And if the answer to those questions is no, then you need to maybe rethink how it is. So we have very deliberately and intentionally run the business super lean. But from a management team perspective, we're only talking 22 people.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow. And how many, when you say from an operative perspective, just give us a sense of what that scale is.
About 600 at the moment.
Wow. Wow. So 600 field, basically workers.
Yeah. Yeah.
And managed by 20 to 22 people.
Yes.
That's incredible. Yeah.
For us, we really focused in early on the culture. I wanted a business that I wanted to work in, not just because I was the owner or the boss. I wanted a business that I would want to work in. And for some managers that have been awful, terrible, they're like really punishing.
Yeah.
But I'm very grateful to them because they taught me what not to do. Their actions really taught me the things that I never wanted to do in the future. And I think that the personalities of Hamish and I, together with our dedication to having a really strong company culture, that it's not just words on a wall, words on the website, or words on paper. This is something we talk about all the time. Now, if I were to bring on someone now, and let's just say that person was not the most ideal fit for the company, I can assure you that that person wouldn't make their probation, because the whole team are so committed to this beautiful culture that we have that they don't want anyone messing that up.
Right.
And it's really strengthened the business and also the trust amongst us. We operate at that speed of trust, and I love that.
There's more and more happening around community. What are you seeing as the change, and where do you think this is headed?
First of all, I think the change is amazing. And I can say that when I first entered the cleaning industry, which for me was now nearly 18 years ago, there was none of that. I'm talking from Australia, obviously, but there was none of that. There wasn't a community because people just didn't want you involved in any way with their business. And I found that really difficult. Then when I came to the US the first time for an event, American cleaning companies were so welcoming and open, and they wanted to hear about our story. We equally wanted to hear their stories. And I think that's the first time I really felt like I was in any way part of any community within the industry. Having the ability to speak to someone who might be just a tiny bit ahead of where you are on your path today, who is willing to share a little bit of what worked for them, what didn't work for them.
Yeah.
And you know, building a network and a community today, I think, is so much more important than it ever has been. I'm a massive Survivor fan, and one of the sort of the Survivor things is to be the best, you have to beat the best.
Yeah.
So you have to be constantly doing that. You have to be constantly in business, striving to be better. And that's when you push your business forward. You get that growth because you're constantly striving to achieve it, and to achieve it by being better.
You know, the CleanCorp name has been floating around Swept since 2017. I think you guys have been customers of ours, so from the early days. But to meet you in person, to kind of hear what that story is, for us, what we do every day, trying to make sure that we're building software that helps companies grow, that is part of your toolkit and part of your growth story.